Evet, şimdi N11.com Strateji ve Planlama Genel Müdür Yardımcısını buraya davet edeceğim. N11.com Vision on Cross Border Trading, Mr. Shik Kim. I'd like to invite you to the stage, please. Alkış rica edeyim. He served as Vice President of SK Telecom, Global Partnership Project Manager of Monitor Group and Vice President at Samsung. He is now a member of the board committee in charge of strategy and planning at N11.com. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. As I was just introduced, my name is Shik Kim, and I'm from South Korea. In Turkey already 6 years. I was one of the founding members 6 years ago when we founded the N11.com. N11, as you know, is a joint venture between Turkish group Doğuş Grubu and from SK Group, SK Telecom, from South Korea, where I came from. And SK is operating already an e-commerce marketplace in Korea which is the name of 11th Street. So that's where we combine the expertise of the 11th Street with the local knowledge of the Doğuş Group together to create history in Turkey, and that already for 6 years. So today, the last time, a few months ago, when I was here on this stage, I mentioned to you briefly about our vision, especially in the cross-border trading of e-commerce. Today, I would like to give some updates of what we have been doing so far and any progress, and a little bit more detailed plan as of now. So, as you can see, N11 is not only, as of now, we have been focusing mainly on doing and growing the pie here in Turkey, but from now on also, we're looking into other territories as well. Not only the adjacent countries, but also MENA, Far East, of course, because naturally, including South Korea also. We're looking into Far East, and also we're looking into the Russia and the other CIS countries. And as you can see, there's so much bigger and more opportunity than just to stay here in Turkey alone. The plan, a milestone that we have, I mean, starting from the second half of this year, especially in, as everybody knows, the 11/11 event was very big, not only here in Turkey, but also in Korea, where actually 11th Street started the event. We started with some export and collaboration of doing business of Turkish goods to Korea. So we started with South Korea this year. The plan is to expand it to the first half of next year to Russia. I'll talk a little bit detail about that. And also the second half of next year is going to be running over to MENA area, and the following years to China and Japan. So these are the general milestones that we have in place. Of course, there might be some challenges and some changes, but in overall, our grand vision and grand master plan is like this, according to this kind of milestones. To see then why are we trying to constantly increase and enlarge the market? I mean, if you can see just from the volume-wise how bigger the opportunity is outside. Within Turkey, we're talking about 30 to 35 billion market size. If we include South Korea, Russia, other MENA, and China, Japan, this increases to more than 130 times. And we're talking about not only about 30 billion, we're talking about thousands of billions, 4,000, especially if we include also the Chinese market. And this, we try first to expand the boundary of our territory to increase the sandbox. The second also, we try to help bring the 3.5 million SMEs, Turkish SMEs to the world. And also we try to give a good taste to the world of very high quality and good Turkish products. And lastly, also, we try to contribute in mitigating the chronic trade deficit gap by enhancing the export figures as much as possible. So there are a lot of reasons why we want to do this, and also, of course, it is difficult and a totally different approach than the business that we're doing here domestically. But I think together, if we can do it all together, we will get there one by one. Let me give you some example of how we did it this year. This year, we selected about 20 Turkish sellers who are willing to provide more than 1,500 SKUs. And the target was to sell some of these items to Korea. On the first week of October, together with those 20 Turkish sellers, we paid a visit to Korea. We went to 11th Street headquarters. We showed them the system. We also introduced them with other fellow sellers, and we explained to them the plan, dynamics of the 11/11 event in 11th Street on the 11/11s. As a matter of fact, we were able to provide apparels and then some Turkish nuts, as you can see, pistachios, which are very, very well liked, and also some digital paintings and some rocks, among others. Yeah? And these are kind of a very well-selected items that we thought we had a collaboration with the seller, but also with the 11th Street in Korea sales guys to identify which kind of products could be a good match in terms of the quality and also in terms of the demand side from the Korean market. And as a matter of fact, as a result, those were highly marketed during the event, before and during the event. A lot of PR, because, I mean, also in Korea, we are known, N11 is known as a very successful market expansion from a Korean 11th Street. So we did a lot of marketing in Korea, and as a result, on that one day, we sold a tremendous amount of, a more than expected amount, significant amount of those merchandise, of those products. And I think this is just the beginning. And if we can, and after the event, all those 20 sellers, they were very satisfied, and they wanted to extend more, and sell more and more, of course. Right now, we are in the progress of making both platforms integration much easier, especially the language. There were some language issues that had to be done by manually and so on. But this was the first process, first learning, and based on those lessons learned, we will continue to expand this kind of exporting to Korea, especially the 11th Street. Next, about the second milestone about Russia. It has been also, we released it in the press. We are in collaboration with Yandex Market and Sberbank, which also is a joint venture. But we identified Russia as a market and as with a very high potential, untapped high potential, especially if we can see how many offline so-called small merchants are coming from Russia every day, buying a lot of chunk of Turkish goods, apparel, and going back to Russia and sell it offline. So we were thinking, why can't we do this online and bring a portion of this online, which will be much more transparent, easier, and also will provide a lot more variety to the Russian people. And we shared the same vision with Yandex. And when Yandex was approaching us this year, we immediately had a kind of bond and decided, okay, let's make this happen. Right now, we are in the process of integrating those also our two platforms together. And as I mentioned before, the plan to start the operation of it is within the first half of next year. The next steps is not beyond Russia, it's also the adjacent countries of CIS. Actually, frankly, before Russia, I had 2 years ago a chance to look into some adjacent market. I went to Iran, Azerbaijan, and Ukraine, and I could, especially Azerbaijan and Ukraine, those kind of adjacent market, I could see how much cultural similarities there were, and how much of those people, the market demands for Turkish good was so high. If you could immediately, at that time, if you had a platform at that time and integrate in those, within some local players, I thought that at that time the demand was so high that this business would fly right away. Anyway, not only Russia, but also the adjacent CIS countries, they are all already having almost 300 million population, and very high level of internet penetration and also infrastructure. And I mean, the demand side of the Turkish good is also tremendous. So not only Russia, but adjacent countries between Russia and Turkey, these are also a good market to not to oversee. The following, MENA region, as you can see, even though the population is not as big as the others, but I mean, the market size might not be as big as the others, but there's a huge growing infrastructure of internet, digitalization infrastructure growing, and also the fact that already Turkey is exporting a lot, more than almost 30% share of it to that region. It gives the fact that the market is already well accustomed to Turkish market, and there's a high demand over there too. And also we can see, normally you can see all the, the tourists coming in offline from those reasons into our shopping malls offline. I think if you can also capture some of those online, that would be also a good opportunity for us in the future. Of course, we're not doing this alone. We are continuously talking with local partners here. We're talking also with internet companies, telco companies, and other e-export delivering or enabling companies to help us build this ecosystem and build a success story also in this region. Next one is in China and in Japan. I know that a lot of now things has been doing with China, especially with now Alibaba also entering Turkish market and so on. But China is too good, too big, so big that also always there will be some opportunity in here. And still, I think the Turkish export to China has been understated, just 2%. There's also some good opportunity to cultivate and expand the Turkish exporting goods to China as well. Japan also a very good, even though it is already a highly matured market. I went to Japan a month ago, and you can see, even though it is already a very highly matured and saturated market, there are so much more innovative opportunities within there. And if you can find the right partner, if you can find the right product and the right approach, there will be always some room for innovation and room for expanding the territories to Japan. So that's why we expanded. We also included Japan also in this picture. Of course, it is not of immediate priority right now, but those markets, especially also with our roots in this region, I think those markets is worthwhile to keep on, to take an eye on for future growth. So, I mean, not only Turkey, we're trying to expand to Korea, to Russia, to MENA, to China and Japan within the next 3 to 4 years. For that, what we plan to do is we plan to provide most of what the platform can do. on the platform with the integration and with our local partners in there, we plan to provide any kind of translation. We plan to provide the logistics, delivery, and customs, and we plan to provide the settlement. What we're asking for the sellers, for our company, for our partners, our merchants to do is to find the right merchant, to find the right product, very high quality product at a good price, and put it on our platform. The rest, we will take care of it. And therefore, and then we can, together, we can assure that good quality Turkish goods, good quality Turkish products can reach not only the Turkish customers, but also reach the world customers and have a good reputation to the world. And I think this kind of future is not a very far away future. We're starting this already. And for next year and the following few years, I hope that I can give you some more detail and also some more implemented success stories in the future. It's my last slide, and thank you very much for today. Thank you.